So not only did Blake Lively refuse to meet with the intimacy coordinator provided by the studio, she also refused to meet with an organization that was selected by Justin Baldoni, the organization No More, which is centered on ending domestic violence in America and around the world by providing resources to help those that may find themselves in a situation, either directly or indirectly, at the hands of domestic violence. But Blake refused to meet with this person that was sent to the studio for that specific reason, and yet she still somehow fails to see how she missed the mark and was considered tone deaf during her marketing. She probably just figured she could Google it and that would be good enough, because I mean, you don't really need to learn all about it, right? What's more important are the flowers and the fits, right guys? Let's look at what this lawsuit has to say about Blake Lively refusing to meet this organization. If you look at the top of the page that I am reading, it says, in regards to Blake totally blowing the whole entire marketing and given what the topic of the movie is, it says the film's domestic violence partner organization nomore.org, as Baldoni had offered, even a brief visit to their website or a simple online search would have readily uncovered this and other information on the topic of domestic violence. Meanwhile, Baldoni, whom Lively herself had ensured was excluded from participating in her marketing efforts, was safeguarded from this backlash as he focused on amplifying the voices of those affected by domestic violence as originally intended when he reached out to the author Colleen Hoover 5 years earlier, and documented by his partnership with nomore.org dating back to 2022. Baldoni's sincere efforts were well received, even in contrast with Lively's campaign to downplay the premise of the film and sell hair care and alcohol products. Soon after, Wayfarer partnered with Sony to co-finance and distribute the film. Their agreement included, at Wayfarer and Baldoni's insistence, that provision was a deal breaker, a requirement that 1% of the film's proceeds be donated in support of survivors of domestic abuse. That 1% was ultimately earmarked for the organization No More, with which Baldoni had sought to partner with as early as September 2022. As they began making the film, Baldoni and Wayfarer felt an immense responsibility to do justice not only to the story of the protagonist Lily Bloom, but to the stories of the survivors around the world. Plaintiff Heath, CEO of Wayfarer, expressed to Forbes on June 28th, 2024, his high hopes for the film. I hope that people leave the theater feeling inspired, that for those who have been hurt, that they feel seen and the story was told in a way that honored them. I feel like the people who may see themselves as someone that may hurt somebody may think twice about it. So I hope that people leave feeling that they have a glimpse into a world that oftentimes we turn our eyes away from. It says at the very bottom below me, stunningly later in the process, Lively refused the opportunity to meet directly with No More, despite playing the lead role in a movie centered around the themes of survival and resilience in the face of domestic abuse. And even more stunningly, in regards to the intimacy coordinator, Lively was aware, as Baldoni had informed her in writing, approved nudity writer, followed by written confirmation of the approval of both. Although the presence of an intimacy coordinator is not a Screen Actors Guild rule, but rather a recommendation, Baldoni was eager to engage one from the start to ensure talent, himself included, felt safe during the intimate scenes. It was also important to him that the intimacy coordinator be a woman to help craft the scenes that would speak to the mostly female audience of the book, i.e. be written from the female gaze, a fact that Lively later mocked in both her complaint and her CRD complaint. Given both Lively and Reynolds' first-hand knowledge of these facts, Lively's insistencies in her November 9th, 2023 return to production's demand on the constant presence of an intimacy coordinator was baffling. However, because Wayfarer had already engaged an intimacy coordinator and had no issue with the request, and given the request came with the threat that Lively would not come back to work after months of filming and planning, Wayfarer acquiesced, limiting the review of intimate scene footage to those with essential business reasons. Given that this was already standard practice in the film industry and in practice on the film set, despite having filmed for over a month and despite having been provided a nudity writer and the opportunity to negotiate, finalize, and sign, Lively never even asked for a closed set. Production had always just done it and had no problem agreeing to the demand. For clarity, the intimacy scenes had not even been written at the point in time that the whole 17 bullet point list was even wrote. No intimate scenes, no scenes simulating any sort of sexual content or nothing. It hadn't been filmed. In fact, the closest scene that had even been filmed at that time was where she was talking as a pregnant woman to an OBGYN. That's it. And more so, the footage that is left over from the film demonstrates that the set was not chaotic as she alleges, and only essential individuals, for example, film crew and the talent, were present for the scene and doing their jobs. Importantly, Lively knowingly and falsely alleged that the film's financer was present during these scenes and insinuates he was watching her nude, which he had no desire to do. He was not even on the set during the filming of that scene. He arrived later, merely stopping by for a brief moment amid his busy business schedule, and was present during the filming of a scene. Not anything relating to that. They have the footage of all this. Contrary to Lively's knowingly false claims, it was Lively who refused to meet with the intimacy coordinator to plan out their scenes, putting Baldoni in an awkward position of meeting alone with the intimacy coordinator and later relaying the scene suggestions and plans to Lively in the intimacy coordinator's absence. These meetings often took place at Lively's insistence in the couple's home, and often while Lively's husband was present. Lively's method of work was unconventional. To suggest that Baldoni was the one who created this scenario is knowingly false. And the moment whenever it was Blake Lively's accusation that during a montage in the movie that Justin Baldoni, essentially not playing as his character but himself, was running up and down Blake's neck, smelling and saying, "Oh, it smells so nice." She said that was him playing himself and not playing the character. But if you read this, it says, Lively's later complaint sheds light on what this point was alluding to in this demand, which at the time was baffling, and upon review of the filmed evidence, it is unequivocally based on a lie. Production was filming a romance montage of Lily and Ryle on their date. One of the producers played music to set the mood so the characters could slow dance. Lively, consistently unable to take direction, insisted she really liked the idea of the characters constantly talking, because as she described, she and her husband liked to keep talking and talking and talking. Baldoni, her director, and the film's assistant director, who was directing the scene, disagreed. In an attempt to encourage her to take direction, Baldoni offered up that he and his wife often will just look into each other's eyes silently, and she responded like sociopaths and laughed. Baldoni laughed and shook it off, while Lively once again started talking about how she and her husband can't not talk. Baldoni said, "I think that's cute," and complimented the couple, to which Lively responded, "I think it's more than cute." Lively continued arguing and tried to direct him for the scene while they were supposed to be in character filming the scene. At some point, Heath and another producer, irritated, called Baldoni aside to express that they can't capture the intended shot because Lively wouldn't stop talking. He was instructed to somehow get her to stop. While there was a brief verbal exchange, Baldoni, heeding the instruction of their assistant director and producers, continued to try to bring them back into character. As they were acting in this montage scene, Lively continued to break her character and speak as herself rather than Lily, which was extremely confusing to Baldoni, who was trying to balance directing the scene within his artistic vision while also acting in character while filming and trying to get Lively to do the same. Lively apologized for the smell of her spray tan and body makeup. Baldoni responded, "It smells good," and continued acting, slow dancing as he believed his character would with his partner. I seriously cannot even imagine how Justin Baldoni felt. It almost feels like it should be a joke, but it's really not. And I feel like even me in this moment, acting like I'm really genuinely shocked, is doing a better job and Blake Lively, a professional, at portraying a movie about DV. Let's just be honest. Tell me what you think down in the comments about this whole situation and her refusing to meet the organization that helps survivors every single day, or what you think about the whole intimacy coordinator things. Weird. Let me know down in the comments. I will see you guys next time. Don't forget to hit the follow button. Whether or not TikTok stays, help me get to 10K, please. I really want to before it shuts down, if it's possible. All right, I will see you guys next time. Bye. I will see you guys next time, maybe. Bye.